When was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap. I am your host, Colleen Biggs, and we have an amazing show today talking about my favorite subject, which is money. And on our episode today, Amanda Barrientez is going to be speaking with us about transforming your relationship with money fast. But before we get to Amanda, and that's Dr. Amanda, by the way, I would like to thank our sponsor, The Adventures of Julie Jones and the Get Shit Done platform. Are you overwhelmed and overworked with never-ending to-do lists? Do you constantly feel tired because life seems hard and your needs are nowhere near the top of your priority list? Well, as an adventure and breakthrough coach, Julie Jones will support you in life that is easy, effortless, and most of all, fun. Stop spending time on the have-tos in life and start truly living a life of I get to. What are you waiting for? Take action and go to www.juliejones.biz and book a free 30-minute Live Out Loud call with Julie. The Stop Waiting, Start Living event in Arizona will be November 4th and 5th, and you can find tickets and check it out more at stopwaiting.biz. All right, back to our show today. Dr. Amanda Barrientez, known as the Money Healer, is the founder of the NFA. I might have kids listening, which is No Effing Around Money, the host of the Women's Entrepreneur Podcast, the NFA Money YouTube Channel, and she's been featured on over 150 podcasts. Congratulations, Amanda. That's amazing. After going from food stamps to building a six-figure business fast, Dr. Amanda has been on a quest to teach entrepreneurs how to transform their relationships to money so they can make easier money. We all want to make money easier, scaling from their zone of manifestation. Now, check out her proven three-step formula, which we will give you at the end. And today we're going to talk a little bit about that three-step formula. So, Dr. Amanda, welcome to the show.
Woohoo. Wow. That was awesome. Thank you for having me on. It's so exciting to be here.
Yeah. So, okay, you and I have something in common. A lot of my listeners don't know this if they haven't been around long enough, but I was on food stamps as a child. I was homeless as a young adult. So I've lived that life of not having money, that lack mindset. And when I jumped out of corporate America, built 3 businesses very quickly. And I would love to hear the mindset shift that you went through and really what happened, because some, people will say, oh, that's easy for you to say because of where you are today. But you're like, did you forget I went through all of that to get where I am today? So tell us a little bit about that story and why you've really become the expert on this now when it comes to
wow. That's awesome that you had such a huge transformation as well. So you said homeless at how old were you?
Yeah, I was 20.
Wow. Yeah. Amazing. It's amazing what we go through and then how we can transform. And you're so right. I think a lot of times people think it's this overnight success and they see where you are now and they don't always know where you came from and what you've been through. And, I think that people have really powerful money stories. And so I would love to work with people on money stories. And mine really started, at least in the entrepreneurial endeavor, it started with laying on the floor crying one night. So, here I am. I had left my 15-year marriage having an affair. And then this next relationship I was in wasn't working. So he had moved out and I'm staring at this empty basement. And I had spent the whole day on Craigslist looking for houses for me and my 3 kids. And I couldn't afford anything. So I was going, oh crap. I don't know where I'm going to live. I had no credit cards. My parents they were completely broke at the time. I had nothing to turn to. And I was thinking, oh my God, like no one's going to come save me right now. What am I going to do? And I was really scared. And I had this moment where I thought, what's the common denominator here? Like, what is the problem? I'm like, it's me. I'm the problem. And so I sat up And I realized, okay, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to change where I've been. And I want healthy relationships. And I really want, I was like, I want a partner. I want someone who I can be attached to. And I got to change this money reality. And it led me listening to podcasts because I was super busy already. I was in grad school earning my PhD. And I didn't have a lot of money and podcasts were free. So I started listening to them on double speed everywhere I went, extra time. It was like when I was washing the dishes or walking between my classes or taking my kids to school. And they were all based on confidence and mindset and relationships and money. And I started to really change from the inside out. And I think the way that the universe can work in really magical ways, simultaneously, my department where I was earning my PhD had this national news fallout and professors were leaving and everyone was super stressed. And I was like, I don't want to be a professor anymore. This doesn't look like the path for me. And so I decided I'm going to finish my PhD and take the leap into entrepreneurship and build a business coaching because those podcasts that I was listening to were all done by coach type entrepreneurs. I'm like, oh my God, they get to teach and make a difference and make as much money as they choose to make. I want that. And so I took the leap. And in that first full-time year, I went 6 figures.
Yeah, that's huge. I think you said a couple things there that are true nuggets that you and I can't believe how similar our paths are. I had 2 kids when I decided to make that jump, and became a single mother again. I was dating someone, relationship didn't work out after the marriage, the whole thing, right? And it's a decision we have to make in our mind. We have to decide that we're ready for change. And so you didn't know what that looked like or how that was going to happen. It was that drive to start gaining more information at the time and looking outside of yourself to say, there's something and someone out there that can help me. I'm going to reach out and start getting that information. What do you remember during that time that you were listening to those podcasts on confidence? Because it has a lot to do with your belief in yourself. So talk us through that. Tell my listeners more about that.
Yeah, first I want to say you're so right, Colleen. It's that moment when I sat up and I was really a decision moment. It was like, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to change this reality. And people ask me a lot, what does it take to change? It's like, the first thing is decision. You got to decide. You've got to cut off the way that you've been and start to become a different person. And it starts in your mindset. And so, when I was listening to the initial podcast, a lot of it was relationship based because I felt really brokenhearted and just I didn't know how to do relationships. I didn't have good examples in those ways. And I didn't have, what I really came to realize is it was a lot of codependency, and codependency is a low confidence issue in a lot of ways. And so when I started to develop that confidence, it was mind blowing to see how powerful it would change my interactions in an everyday way. In the classes I was in, instead of like turning red and freaking out when I would raise my hand to talk, I would feel different. And I started to just, awaken to my voice. And it felt so good. And I kept thinking, nobody gets these skills in school. Like, we aren't taught how to have good relationships. We aren't taught how to have self-love. We aren't taught confidence. We aren't taught money making, we aren't taught the most basic things that we need to thrive. And so I thought, this is ridiculous. And I love teaching. And so, hey, why not go for it? And as I was on that path, I developed confidence. And then, the world reflects back to you who you are inside. And so as I started to up-level my own confidence and change my mindset, I started to get different opportunities. And so it was a really incredible process.
I'm glad that you said that, because when you start getting different opportunities, what happens is you go from the low vibration, which you were at, which was, what am I going to do? I'm stuck here in the basement. I can't afford any of these homes. We go through this victim mode. I always tell everyone, it's okay to have your pity party. Just don't send out invitations, right? Don't send out the invitations. Don't have the party too long. But when you're vibrating at that level, you must attract people, places, things, and events to that level. And when you changed your level, which is all within us, it's nothing outside of us. When you decided to change that level, that's when people, places, things, and other events were all of a sudden attracting to you. And, I would think a lot of my listeners were thinking like, wait a minute. she was going to school for her PhD and she wasn't confident. I bet that happens a lot. Just because you're in school and you're studying for your PhD doesn't mean that you have life figured out. Generally, we're still figuring life out during that time, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting that actually grad school is like a petri dish for imposter syndrome.
It is.
And it attracts people who are proving themselves in a lot of ways. Not everyone, of course, that's a generalization, but a lot of the people that I see, it's a hypercritical environment. And for me, especially, I was really working hard to prove that I was smart because I grew up thinking I wasn't. And so just because I was going to get my PhD didn't mean people have really interesting perspectives on people with PhDs. They think like, oh, they got it together, they're making all much money. And none of that is necessarily true. It's just like, I used to have a kind of a fantasy of rich people. It was like, oh, they've got everything and they're happy all the time and everything's awesome.
Life is so easy for them.
Yeah. And money isn't the answer, right? It isn't that money is the solution. It's exactly like you're saying, you've got to change. And I love that you said these things because, we can dive in deep into that vibrational frequency, but whatever you're emitting in your frequency, like a radio wave is what you're going to attract your way because you're tuning into it. Right. And so just like you said, when I was prior to that awakening, I would say of realizing that I am the creator of my reality, I was super stuck in victim mindset. I mean, I blamed everybody for everything that was going on with me, my childhood and, the way I was raised and my ex-husband, even with him, it was like, in my mind, I was 100% justified to have an affair. I was not in any way taking responsibility for my part in the situation. Yeah. And so once I was able to do that, I realized like, oh, when you stop blaming other people, you actually have the ability to have power. And in that radical responsibility way, you get to actually, I like to think of it as like having a magic wand to create your life, because now you know that you're the center of creating the outer world.
That's right. Yeah. I can't believe how similar our lives are. And it was after the second divorce, then I realized like, who's the common denominator in all of this, right? Yeah. Oh, that's me. And you look in the mirror and it's a decision. And the only way I can explain it is you make the decision to live a different life because you're tired of where you are. And when you're at the bottom, because you've hit rock bottom, it's like, when am I supposed to make that decision? Well, I was at rock bottom when I made that decision. So that decision was like, well, there's nowhere to go but up from here. So really, I have nothing to lose but to make this change, right? And to consume this information. So we touched on it a little bit, transforming our relationship with money. It's really transforming, your mindset around money, right? And your vibrational. So let's just dive into that and start talking through the steps of how do you work with your clients and what are some nuggets you can give the listeners today of something they can take away with them, just like you listen to all those podcasts. What can someone get from today that they can apply to get them started on that road to transformation?
Yeah. I want everyone here first to think about the last time that they had a thought about money, just like stop and think, well, when was the last time I thought about money? I could say that probably 100% of people thought about it today, right? The day they're listening to this, we think about money all the time, right? It brings up fear, jealousy, grief, shame, embarrassment, excitement, infatuation, greed, happiness, fear. I mean, like we could just go on. It brings up every single emotion. And the reason for that is because when we're young, we have these downloads into our brain, and our brain is like a subconscious sponge. I like to think of it as a sponge. Everything's just going in there. And so whatever your surroundings are, in your family, preachers, teachers, media is huge. You're going to be influenced by belief systems. And you have no way when you're a kid to go, oh, I choose this belief or I choose that belief. We just take it in and then we play it out in our lives until we get conscious. So in transforming your relationship to money, one of the first things that's really important to do is just to start to recognize what your beliefs are. And most people don't take the time to do this because it's almost like you're awash in it and you think you should just automatically know how to do it, right? You should know what to do to make more money, to save money, to invest. And if you don't know, you feel embarrassed and you're afraid to ask because it makes you feel like you're a kid and you're stupid. And so it's important for everyone here to recognize, this is the first step of the NFA money formula, recognize. for me on the floor that day was recognizing I'm the common denominator. For everyone right now, it's recognizing where are you currently at in your belief system about money? And one simple question you can ask yourself is, what do I believe about money? Mm-hmm. It's just the simplest question. Hey, how do I feel about money? What do I think about work and building my business? Mm-hmm. What do I think about men and money or women and money? Yeah. What do I think about delegation? Like, start asking yourself a lot of questions, because it's in that recognition that you can then have the power to reframe, which is step number 2. And you can go, oh, okay, if this thought or belief is disempowering to me, then I can reframe it. And then number 3 in the NFA Money formula is repeat to reprogram, because you've wired into your brain a certain way of thinking about money, which causes you to have that vibrational frequency, which causes you to keep attracting that same belief over and over and over again. Yeah. So in order to change this, you go number 1, recognize, number 2, reframe, and number 3, repeat to reprogram. And that's the simplest version of my NFA Money formula. And it's applicable across the board to all of your money beliefs, any belief you have about yourself and about your reality. And it's really the way that you can reprogram your subconscious mind.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that it's just simple and repeatable, right? I do an exercise with my clients in my community, and I'll have them write a letter to money. I don't know if anyone's really sat down and wrote a letter to money. It's amazing what comes out when you're writing down what your relationship with money is. And just from reading that letter, you can tell the type of mindset you have when it comes to money. If it's scarcity, if it's fear, if you're afraid, it's so hard to get you, but then you're so afraid that it's going to go away the minute it comes to you, right? There's so many different beliefs around money. So I just think that those steps are super simple in how we're able to transform it, and quick. So how long is that process you generally work with someone, would you say, when things start changing for them, when they're applying that process?
I'll say it's different for everybody, dependent on how hardwired those beliefs are. And so it's how quickly people are willing to recognize that they're stuck. And people don't always know how to do this. So they go like, what are my beliefs? I'm not really sure. And just like you're saying, money, writing a love letter to money. I always say a love letter to money, because first you write your current letter to money, and then you write your love letter to money. And that's the reframe, right? Yeah. And so it's like, what do I currently believe? And it's simple practices like that, like going, okay, hey, money, I love you, but I'm afraid of you and you're never there for me. I want you so badly, I'm chasing you, like that kind of thing. And recognizing that helps you go, oh, okay. And so change is dependent on how willing you are to decide that you're ready to change, and then commit to taking action repeatedly. Yeah. And again, that repetition part is the most important part. So someone who's going to change more quickly is going to be someone who's in alignment for that change. So one of the terms I came up with, I love this thought, because I kept seeing people saying one thing and doing another. We all see this all the time. Yeah. I was like, what is going on there? And so I came up with this term called competing commitments, because what's happening is that your subconscious is battling with your conscious, and your conscious is only 5% of you. Your subconscious is 95% of you. Yeah. So if 5% of you says, I'm ready to make more money and feel really good building my business, and 95% of you is like, but you're not good enough. You don't know what you're doing. Oh, women aren't that powerful. What if I succeed wildly and then I'm overwhelmed and I can't find a partner because I'm too busy and I can't take care of my kids, on and on and on, right? And so we have those battling against each other. So in order for you to change that, you've got to first recognize what those unconscious thoughts are, and then repeat. And the cool thing is that it can be quick if you're willing to notice and recognize what's going on. Otherwise, you're just on autopilot, letting your mindset run the show. And if you have a scarcity, lack thinking mindset, that's what you're going to keep getting. And so, that process, speed wise, long answer to your question, it's going to really depend on how willing you are to face your shit.
It's the truth. It really is. It's the same when you go to the gym. You don't go to the gym one time and become a bodybuilder and you're like, okay, now I can go step up on stage. There's perseverance, there's drive, there's discipline that happens. I'm in therapy right now, for my neck, and an accident that had happened years and years and years ago that has finally caught up with me. And they're like, the curvature in your neck is like off by about 2 inches, and it's going to take discipline. You're going to have to like be persistent with this and do these exercises and show up 3 times a week. But if you do that, it will change. And it's like, okay, I'm willing to do it. And everything takes action. You mentioned, Amanda, that when you were in the basement and you knew that you were the person that needed to make the change, and you were the one that had to decide, you started surrounding yourself with positivity. I think this is something very important that we need to mention, because I speak all the time on your network is your net worth by far. Who you surround yourself with, what you're listening to, who's in your Facebook feed, your Instagram feed, what's on TikTok, anything you're listening to, conferences that you're attending. These are super important. Do you want to add to that?
Yes, absolutely. I love how on the same page you and I are. It's amazing. I used to have on my LinkedIn, when people would, connect with me, I'd say, hey, I love to connect with you and build my network because your network is your net worth. I love that.
That's right.
It's so true. Absolutely. I am someone who filters out consciously negativity. I don't watch the news. And I used to have, as an educator, I used to have to watch the news. My PhD's in sociology. So it was like, we would do news reports even, and I would go like, once I graduate, I'm like, see you later news, because you don't feel good watching it. And you've got to always remember, you can't get what you want doing what you don't want to do. Okay. So if you're plugging into the negative news and you're feeling negative, you can't expect to feel amazing, because you're feeding yourself with negativity. So it's like, is it the news? If you're getting on Instagram or Facebook or any of the social media platforms and you're just negatively comparing yourself to everyone else, and you leave that platform feeling crappy about yourself, is that helping you? How is that helping you? And so you got to get conscious of who you're hanging out with and what you're feeding your mind on a regular basis. I love the example you used of the gym. I owe it, that's such a powerful example, because it's like, duh, we don't expect to go to the gym once and all of a sudden go, okay, we lifted 200 pounds of weights once for a day, and then we have huge biceps. Like, that doesn't work that way. Yeah. I think about it similarly with taking a shower. Like, would you just take a shower once a week for like 45 minutes instead of one every day for 5 minutes? Like, no. That's right.
Yeah.
You got to keep doing it every day. Our mindset, I believe, is the number one thing that you've got to be consistent with if you truly want to change.
Hell yeah. That's the end of it right there. It really is. Because if you, and that's the other key, if you want to change something, you will do it. You will surround yourself with the people that will fuel your success, that will support you, that will get you there. And you will I have removed and blocked a ton of people on social media feed. I haven't listened to the news in I don't know how many years. It was really my biggest freedom as an entrepreneur that I enjoy the most. There's top two. You can make an infinite amount of money. Second one is you can surround yourself with anyone you want to at any time, all the time. And you never have to work with people you don't want to work with. It is my favorite freedom of being an entrepreneur. Absolutely. And people are like, yeah, but there's hours you work. I'm like, I get to work the hours I work and put in when I want to do it. And I get to do what I want to do in my business. There's just no better freedom than that. So you just made this important declaration. Transformation will only happen if you want it to happen. So many people, it took me 3.5 years to get my black belt. Are you kidding me? You think that transformation happened overnight? And it was like almost 3.5 years when I went through another mindset block of not being able to break certain boards to graduate. So at every level, we're going to hit some block that wasn't there before because we hadn't ever been there before. And then when you get there, you've got to be surrounded by people like Dr. Amanda. You've got to be surrounded by tribes. And that's why I started the LEAP community. It became a business building community for women so we could consistently stay around each other. And I know if you purposefully bring people together, they'll stay together. And so sometimes we just have to create those for people so that we can stay around. And I selfishly do it to infuse myself around all these people I love that fuel me. Right. So my days on social media or my days going through feeds or being on Zoom or being at networking events are with people I love to hang out with. I don't hang out with negative tribes and I don't attract them. So if you really want to attract the right people in your life, just show up and be who you are, that dynamic person, and don't, everyone else is taken. So just show up as you and be you. Right. That is another freedom that I enjoy. I don't have someone telling me how to act, how to manage, how to not show emotion. It's like, if I want to cry, I'll cry. If I want to laugh, I'll laugh. And I don't have anyone telling me what I can and can't do. Dr. Amanda, you've been a phenomenal guest today. I mean, I love it when people are aligned because I'm just like, hell yeah, go out there and just keep spreading the word and doing the good work and lifting people and moving more and more and more people to transforming their relationship with money fast. That's what we need to do. I love money. I think about it all day long. I have a bell in my office I ring every single time I make another dollar, whatever it is, right? And I do that because it's like, I haven't rang the bell in a day. Why haven't I rang the bell today, right? You truly can make money out of thin air. You just pull it out of thin air. That's the beautiful part about being an entrepreneur is there's needs out there that people have, and you have a solution for that. You just need to show them how you're the bridge, right? Dr. Amanda, tell us, where do we find you? I just want to know, where do my listeners find you? Where do you want them to connect? How can they get, your 3-step formula? Where can they download it? What have we got?
Yeah. You said so many awesome things. I love it. Your vibe is so good. Okay. All things NFA money. So again, no effing around money. On the site, it says the actual word, but we'll be careful here. So NFA money. So that's my website. That's Instagram. That's YouTube. You can find all kinds of awesome stuff there. The NFAmoneyformula.com is where they can get that. It has a video and a cheat sheet that's awesome that walks them through a really simple train your brain process. And my podcast is the Woman Entrepreneur Podcast. So that's a really fun podcast to hang out and have these kinds of topics that we're sharing today. I do biz breakdown sessions there with people to help them tweak their businesses in really simple ways to get into what I call their zone of manifestation, which is a lot of the things we're talking about. Alignment. It's about alignment to make easier money and make as big of an impact and income as they choose to make. So those are all the things that they'll find on the Woman Entrepreneur Podcast.
I love that. And I got to be careful with the words because I got 12 grandkids. I just never know when one of them's listening or when someone's playing one, on Alexa or what's happening with that. I got to be really careful with that.
Yes.
So, and we don't have, we want to make sure that our words are clean on here because that's how our podcast is titled. But I love it because I am a quit screwing around and take action kind of girl.
Yeah.
I sit and I watch friends and they're like, oh my gosh, I wish I could lose weight. And I'm one of those friends that goes, you can.
Yeah.
And they say, yeah, well, it's easy for you. And I'm like, don't even go there. Because I work out every day. I'm walking 2 miles. I don't eat, certain things. So I've spent my entire life doing that. If you change your habits and you transform your relationship with food, then you would be able to get there too, right? It's no different. You can transform your relationship with anything. And our special guest today, Dr. Amanda, she is really talking about transforming your relationship with money and doing it fast. So I'm going to highly recommend all of you go out there to NFAmoneyformula.com. Definitely get out there and get her 3-step formula, her proven formula that she's got. No effing around, man. This is about the money. And we all know holla on the money. I love the money, right? Money does not create happiness, but I'll tell you what, it allows you to be the truest you could possibly be, because now you get the opportunity to give and be generous and be creative and productive as you want to be when you have more money, right? I know. So Dr. Amanda, I always end my show telling everyone, for every listener out there, you're the only you that's ever been. You're the only you that's ever going to be. If you want to stay stuck and not make a lot of money, then stay there, turn off the podcast and keep going on your low vibration, honestly. But we're on the train to making a lot of money, and we're on the train to transforming relationships quick with money. Whatever it is in your life, you can transform that. Even a relationship that you might have today, if you will put a dose of gratitude and get in there and take action for what you want in your life, I promise you it will be yours. But if you sit around and do nothing, then you're going to get nothing. So take action today. Dr. Amanda, thank you for being with us today. And to all of our listeners, don't forget, for the rest of the week, be you and be strong. And until next time, until then, bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed our show today, as our guests shared their secrets on designing their life by taking the necessary leaps to expand their influence and attract the right people and clients into their lives. To start these easy steps for yourself, be sure to visit www.colleenbiggs.net/freebies to download the 7 ways to increase your exposure today.